Welcome to the Reed Report. Thank you guys for taking the time to hear me out. We are here today, of course, but before we get started, be sure to hit that like button, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell to be notified. But we are here today because the Western Conference Finals kicks off tonight, and the Eastern Conference Finals kicks off tomorrow night. And it is the same matchups from 3 years ago in the bubble. The same matchups. In the East, you have the Celtics versus the Heat, which is also a rematch of last year's NBA Eastern Conference Finals that went to Game 7, which the Heat nearly won. And we know how that ended. The Celtics ultimately won, but lost to the Warriors in the NBA Finals. And Jimmy called his shot. Jimmy said that the Heat will be right back in this position the following year, and here they are with a chance to win. And I think the dangerous thing about this team is that they were able to advance despite the fact that they lost Tyler Hero early. They lost him early, so they were able to make adjustments without Tyler Hero. So this won't be an easy outing for the Boston Celtics if they win. And also you have the Lakers versus the Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. Again, a rematch from 3 years ago, Western Conference Finals. These two teams also met in the Western Conference Finals in 2009. And I think there was one other time before that, because I want to say they said that this is the fourth time they're meeting in the conference finals. But we remember how it went 3 years ago. Lakers won Game 1 and Game 2 when AD hit the buzzer beater. Ended up winning in 5. These are different teams, all four. Speaking of, like, all four teams are different. All four has gotten better since. Players have developed more since. But Lakers last year wasn't even in the play-in tournament, didn't make the playoffs. Nuggets were a 6 seed, I want to say, last year, because they played the Warriors in the first round of the conference of the NBA playoffs, and they lost to them in 5. Jokic second MVP, and then Jokic was swept the year before that by the Suns, his first MVP run in the second round. And the Lakers, like I said, didn't make the playoffs, but this year they were able to come all the way back from being the 13th seed after that big old trade. And they were able to beat the 2-seeded Grizzlies in the first round. And then they beat the Warriors, defending champion Warriors, in the second round. Now, this Laker team, this is not the same team from early in the season. You know what? Let's get started with the predictions, and we'll start things off in the West. We'll start off in the West. Again, this Laker team, not the same team from the beginning. Not the same team at all. They played the Nuggets 4 times in the regular season, and the two teams split. The Lakers actually got their first win of the season against the Nuggets. But all 4 of the matchups were before the trades went down. So you can't judge this Laker team as a 7 seed. We've seen that in the playoffs thus far. You can't judge them as that. And I'm sure Denver doesn't see them as that. Denver's just happy they have home court advantage. They're not looking at the Lakers like the same team, because it's really not the same team. In my opinion, with 43 wins, the Lakers this year, 7 seed, if they were to take the team they have now from the beginning all the way to the end of the regular season, 82 games, I think this team has the best record in the NBA or in the Western Conference. Denver won 53. I think these Lakers win 55 to 56 games. So this is not the same team. This is a way better team. It just fit better than what they were previously were. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a guy that's big on like stats and statistics and patterns and things like that. And one of the patterns I'm starting to see from the Lakers is, they've been winning each series in 6 games. They go up 3-1, and then they lose the next game and close out in 6. Nuggets, on the other hand, a lot of people, myself, like a lot of people, didn't take them serious at first. Didn't believe in the Denver Nuggets. Didn't think they were the real deal. But they've proven they are a deep team. They are a really, really deep team. And I just knew Phoenix wouldn't be able to compete with that. I know a lot of people say Chris Paul got injured, but even if the only thing that probably happens if Chris Paul doesn't get hurt was it goes to a Game 7, and I still think Denver wins. That's the only thing that probably happens differently. But they are a legit deep team. And as a Laker fan, I wouldn't be hurt. It's the Nuggets. I wouldn't be hurt if the Nuggets did win this series. But as far as the series goes itself, AD, yes, Jokic is going to get his, but AD can disrupt that. He is the one guy that is remaining in these playoffs who I think can disrupt that. I don't know if Bam Adebayo can disrupt Jokic like AD can. I don't think Boston has anyone that can really disrupt Jokic the way that AD can. And on the other end, when Jokic is on defense, again, they just have to make him work. They have to go at him, make him work, get him in foul trouble. That's one of my big things, even in the Warriors series. Like, get these dudes in foul trouble early. You're bigger than them. Make them foul you. But you just have to make Jokic work. They have a lot of others just like the Lakers and Nuggets does. So it is an even series. And it does have the ingredients of a series that's going to go 7 games. That's what it has. LeBron James he did exactly what he needed to do in the second round against Denver and in the first round against Memphis. Cut back on the threes 100%. Don't start the game because when you take bad threes and the other team get the rebound and score, that's no different than a turnover. It just doesn't show up that way in the box score, but that's basically a turnover in transition. So cut back on the threes, attack the basket, especially tonight, set the tone in game 1. Lakers win game 1, the Nuggets are in trouble. But as far as my prediction, like I said, I do like Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, KCP, a lot of dudes, Jamal Murray. The one thing about Jamal Murray is we saw what they were able to do to Steph, the Lakers, in the first round. And Jamal Murray can be a streaky player as well. He can go off one game and be 6 for 8 from 3 and then 1 and 10 the very next game from 3. So in one of he's going to get his, but he's not going to consistently get his. They got guys who can guard him, really bang him up, and that's just the Lakers. That's what they were able to do to the Warriors. Yes, the Warriors are a team of shooters, but I like to think that they didn't want to shoot the ball as much as they shot the ball in that series. They wanted to get to the basket. That's why they had the plan to try to keep AD from the basket with pick and roll and having him try to follow someone outside of the paint. So they would have liked to have went to the hole more because they're capable of doing that. Steph Curry is not that same little skinny Steph. Like, Steph is bulked up, and I started to first notice it in the Toronto Raptors finals. But I just say all that to say that Jamal Murray is no Steph Curry. He is a baller. He can play. I like Jamal Murray. Glad he's back. This is his first playoffs since the bubble. But I just think he is going to be the key, and he's going to be the guy that struggles in this series against the Lakers defense, and they're going to make him work on defense when he is guarding like D'Angelo Russell. And we saw what D'Lo was able to do to Steph Curry when Steph was on defense. So I'm taking the Lakers to win this series in 6. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes 7, but I'm taking the Lakers to win it in 6. I think the Lakers will beat the Denver Nuggets in 6 games, and the Lakers will make it back to the NBA Finals for the first time in front of live fans since 2010 when Kobe beat the Celtics, when the Lakers beat the Celtics. So yeah, that's my prediction for that series. And now to the East, where they kick off game 1 tomorrow. Rematch of last year. No Tyler Hero. Like I said, I think the Heat were able to get out of the first round unscathed. Well, not unscathed because they lost Tyler Hero, but they were able to make adjustments early and go on without him. Now, I'm sure you're probably saying, hey, at some point they're going to miss him, and that could be true. That could be true. And just like, you know, I was going to bring up the bubble conference finals, but again, they played each other last year. And this one has been the toughest one. I've been thinking about this series ever since Game 7 when Boston dumped all over Philly. I've been thinking about this Heat Celtics series as to who do I think is going to win. And right here, at the time of talking, I still haven't made up my mind because it's just that tough of a pick to me. Because there are times I don't trust the Celtics. There are times where they don't look like a team who should be here. They just look like a team who can win games in the regular season. And once they get into a 7-game series where teams can game plan for them for 4 games at the least and 7 at the most, you know, it's a different ball game then. It's a different ball game. I think Bam has improved on his toughness. And because I'm going to take the Heat to win the series. I'm going to take the Miami Heat to beat the ball. I know a lot of people are thinking, hey, poor Heat, poor Nuggets. The NBA has this thing already figured out. They want the race for 18, Lakers, Celtics. But I'm going to take the Miami Heat to win this series. I know that that's what a lot of people want, is for Denver and Miami just to stick it to the NBA and stick it to Lakers and Celtics. But I am going to take the Miami Heat to win this series against the Celtics. I think this one will go the distance again, Game 7. But this time it'll be in Boston. Well, you know what? I'm changing that pick. I'm going to change my pick right now. Not the whole series, not who I think winning. But I think if the Miami Heat wants to win, I don't see them winning a Game 7 in Boston. I don't see them winning in Boston. So I'm going to take the Miami Heat to win this series in 6, just like the Western Conference Finals. I think they'll beat the Celtics in 6. They're going to have to win this thing in 6. We saw what happened to Philly when they went to Boston and tried to get it in 7. But I think the Atlanta Hawks series was a telltale of Boston on, like, where you look at them and you're like, how did y'all allow this thing to even get that interesting to where we're thinking, oh, this could go 7. How did you let that happen? To me, that was not a good thing for the Boston Celtics. It was just like in the NFL, I compare it to the Buffalo Bills. Everybody was all on Buffalo after that opening win against the Rams. And I'm just like, yo, the Rams aren't the same team. They're not going to be that as good as they were last year. I didn't think they would miss the playoffs, but they ended up being a team that didn't even make the playoffs. And people were bragging on the Bills and Josh Allen. And then, like I said, hey, the real Josh Allen will eventually stand up. And he did that later in the season. You started to see slippage. He wasn't in those MVP conversations. And then they went to the playoffs. And the Miami Dolphins, it's funny, I think they were down to Tua didn't play. They were down to, I think, a 3rd string guy, if I'm not mistaken. And they still nearly beat the Buffalo Bills. And I looked at that like, that's a telltale sign right there. That's a telltale. That wasn't a fluke on what Miami nearly did. I think that's who Buffalo really is. And it showed the very next week when they played Cincinnati. Cincy had their way with Buffalo. And I see the same thing with the Celtics. Like that Hawks series, I'm just looking like, yeah, you beat Philly, and Philly did just fire Doc Rivers at the time of recording. I already know about that news. But it's like you beat a guy, and Doc Rivers, a coach who historically had these type of things happen to him when he's leading 3-2, 3-1, or in Game 7 or whatnot. I mean, we saw a 37-win Hawk team take the Celtics in 2008 to a Game 7. Now, they did win the championship, but it was still like, you're lucky you did win that championship, because you would probably never be a head coach again if you didn't. But again, another guy like James Harden, a guy who was just not a playoff guy, not a guy that like this, like we already knew it, but this series just reinforced it when it came to James Harden. Joel Embiid as well. Every year he get eliminated. Every year he cry about, why do we let go of Jimmy Butler? Why do you get rid of that guy? We hear it every year with something else with Joel Embiid. And the only difference this time is he was the MVP, and they went out like that in the Game 7. But So that's why I look at that series. I'm like, yo, that you won Boston, but the guys you beat have a track record of not showing up in these clutch games. James Harden, Joel Embiid, Doc Rivers. But anyway, I'm taking the Heat to win this series in 6. Those are my predictions. Appreciate you guys for taking this time to hear me out. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. Tell me who you think is going to the NBA Finals. As far as my NBA Conference Finals, let's just do it. MVPs, because I forgot about that trophy. They have that trophy. Jason Tatum and Stephen Curry won it for their Conference Finals last year. Steph in the West, Tatum in the East. In the East this year, if the Miami Heat, of course it's going to be Jimmy Butler, right? Of course, Jimmy Butler's going to win Eastern Conference MVP. The Heat win the series. And in the Western Conference, the Lakers cannot win a championship and advance in a playoff series if Anthony Davis is not the best player. The only way they're winning is if AD is the best player on the court. So Anthony Davis will be the Western Conference MVP. And those are my predictions. Again, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and we'll talk soon. Peace.